everyone, Storm Woman here. Today we'll be having an update on Tropical Storm Dorian. And let's go ahead and get started with the Atlantic outlook of what's going on right now. We got we actually have Tropical Depression 6 with winds up to 35 miles per hour. Now, this is expected to hit possibly up into portions of Canada up here. I also forgot what those are called. It's been a couple years since I named those, but it's gonna hit. It probably hit somewhere around there. I think it probably stays as a tropical storm. Right now, it's still kind of disorganized tropical depression, but the winds are up to 35 miles per hour. But that's not the system we'll not be talking about today. It is going to be this one right here. If y'all remember the last video, it had 60 mile per hour winds. Now it's been downgraded to 50 miles per hour. It seems like the pressure's gone up. It seems like it's up to 1005. Now, there's going to be some questions involved with this. We go ahead and look into their forecast map. You can see this is going to be a little bit concerning because things like malls are starting to turn into Central Florida. Now, there is some bad news with this here. What malls have been showing. Some of the larger models, like the GFS and the CMC, they're both showing a different solution to this than the others. I'll show you guys that in just a moment, but we do have tropical storm warnings and watches for parts of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. We even got hurricane watches as well for Puerto Rico and part of Dominican Republic. The bad news is things like Puerto Rico will get hit by a tropical storm at this time. It's also looking like that it could miss Dominican Republic. If you do not know, Dominican Republic is right here and does have a pretty good boundary range in there, which it can kill this here. And it seems like models are trending that could avoid that, go to the Bahamas into Florida. Now it's anywhere from here. Well, actually right here. We do know where it's going to be going from here, but over to here, there's some uncertainties with this. We also do have two low pressures going on. We got one here, we got one over here, which increases the shear. That's another thing. Things like shear is going back up again, which can calm this thing down, but what models have been showing is looking not to be the case and not really disturb it that much. So, let's go ahead and look into some models, shall we? Let's go ahead and first go into the spaghetti models. This is the tracks. It seems like where this thing could be going, you can see every model except for one outlier. It's gonna be bypassing the Dominican Republic and kind of past the islands here and probably maybe go for parts of the northern islands of the Bahamas into north central Florida. You can see there's a couple that goes up a little bit north, but it seems like it's becoming less and less likely for that. It seems like the main track could be going north central Florida or even central Florida. If it goes through central Florida, we're going to have a problem. First problem here is that, well, one thing is this thing here is going to be turning at some point to the north. What I'm saying here is that we got a Bermuda high over here. If it's weaker, it could go to along the East Coast, which is pretty bad as well. If it's a stronger Bermuda high, it can go right through Florida. Now, it doesn't look to be that bad, but from all showing, it could be terrible. But I'm not really taking those. But if it goes central Florida, it's at some point going to turn. It's going to go into the Gulf, and it can get its strength back and hit some other areas like the Panhandle of Florida or even parts of Alabama. There, it could go that far out. And what happens is when it starts to curve, these areas in here can get a lot more rain. That's a bad thing because when it starts to turn, you'll be in the tropical cyclone for much longer, and that's something we do not want to see with a turn. You can get more rain, and you can have probably increased wind damage there. Instead of continuing straight line, it looks like it can curve. Now, out ahead of that, we do have some mountains here. That could probably calm it down, but in the same time, usually when you have low pressure systems, especially when it goes through Kentucky and Tennessee during the wintertime months, it starts to turn up to the northeast. When it goes through the mountains, it usually gains strength in there. We'll see about that. We really just are focused on states like Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, the Carolinas. Gotta be all on guard for this. Well, it seems like the most likely hit right now looks to be Central Florida there. So, let's go ahead and start with the European model here, with the winds gust. Right now, it's just past these first few islands here. Eventually, it looks like it will start to turn to Puerto Rico. As you can tell, here's a direct hit, but you should not get that much rain. It's probably going to go by there a little bit quick, because by tomorrow afternoon, like at 6 o'clock, it's going to be there in Puerto Rico. It's not going to be there for too long. We could probably see isolated rainfall totals probably up to 5 inches of rain. That is possible. It's going to go to 7 p.m. on Thursday. This is where some shear could be in place in this area by the Turks and the Caicos, to Dominican Republic, and Haiti. I hope I pronounced that right, but I feel like I didn't. But looks like most models suggest that they're acting like there's going to be no shear there. So what's going to happen is it starts to gain strength here. See, winds could be gusting up to 65 miles per hour. Here's Saturday. It starts to get a little bit stronger. Winds gusting up to 90. We're starting to get into hurricane levels a little bit. Then by Sunday, Labor Day weekend, it hits Florida. You can see Orlando could see wind gusts up to 63 miles per hour. Now, at this point, since this is far out, there's a chance that this could happen. There's a chance this probably will not happen. It can turn up that way. It could go a little bit further north, and it could go a little bit further, south. That's what I meant to say. It could go along the East Coast. It can go northern Florida or southern Florida. We don't want to go southern Florida. That'd be a little bit... that'd be pretty bad there. That would be two times worse. I can't talk. Here's Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is Labor Day morning. You can see it's out back in the Gulf. And this should start to gain strength again. Now, what the Euro is suggesting is it could fall along the coast, which is even more concerning because it has more time to gain strength before it hits land. And you see Dorian here could hit Mobile, Alabama, and into Mississippi. Am I buying this? Not really. I think it's taken it a little bit too far to the west at this point. And I think it's acting like that the Bermuda High could be very strong. At that time, it'd probably take over Florida at this point. And then it starts to turn. That's the turn I'm talking about right there. And in this type of situation, what the European predicts that Alabama or Mississippi could have most of the rain. If we see the GFS, it's a little bit of a different story here. You can see it's actually much larger on what this here predicts. And that's a problem. We don't want it to be very large or anything. It seems like it will make landfall probably about Saturday night. And it seems like the winds would not be that bad. But the rain, though, that would be pretty concerning. Of how large that is. I mean, it's not really high risk, but I could probably tell this here could be a very large storm. So here's the next 10 days. And this is a lot of rain. If we go to North Carolina and South Carolina state line, it's 4 inches. We go down to Savannah. Looks like about 5 inches. Jacksonville, we go up to 9 inches, 7. But yeah, That's quite a bit of rain, guys. Let's go to the Euro. You can actually tell where its track is. We go do some backtracking here. You can see where some of the turkey cake. Like some 8 inches of rain. I mean, that is possible. I mean, I could see it happen. Wherever it turns, it could stay there a little bit longer. So we could see those rainfall totals. So my recommendation is probably to move into some of these islands right here, like road towns instead of Julian. And probably these islands here will probably be safer than like western parts of Puerto Rico. Probably has to be evacuated to the east side because of rain. The wind should not be too much of a factor. It's just the rain. This is Marson Harbor. Could see about near 6 inches of rain. Palm Bay, about 1 to 3 inches of rain. Here's Tampa, 4 inches of rain. Tallahassee, 4. Mobile, 4.7. You can see these rainfall totals are pretty high as well. And in fact, I even saw 9 inches again here. But yeah, we do not want this current to happen. It could also increase some severe weather on the east side here. Like the Euro predicts that we could probably see some good severe weather across Alabama or Georgia there. It really depends how strong this low pressure could be. That's what it really depends on. But let's look at some of the very high-risk models. Now, this model here, I think this is the most aggressive one. I do believe. You can see there's Puerto Rico right there, the Dominican Republic. Avoid those. Here are some islands. Here we are at 989 millibars. 995, 993, 992, 80. See, look at these drops here. 960. 956, 952, 944, 938. Trust me, I don't think it's going to be this strong, okay? 938 millibars is that's a major hurricane right there. I'm not going to lie to you. That's a pretty significant eye wall right there. How much rain's got? 937. And you see, looks like what it's trying to do is falling along the coast. At least the eye wall will try to stay away, but we can still see some flooding rains around it, and it could be a little bit windy. Let's go ahead and go into this model right here. You can see at the strongest could be about 939. Good Lord of mercy, guys. These models are really going pretty hard on these. But good news here, what it looks to be, is they could stay off the coast. It's going to move on to H1 model. And 987 millibars. I can probably agree more on that than the others. This is something I'll probably more than likely agree on. Probably 986. That's a pretty decent hurricane. I can't do a guessing game, so may as well do the winds. About 80 knots. So that is like, you're probably talking about a strong Category 1 and maybe a weak Category 2 hurricane there, I would say. We gotta look at the other models. I mean, how bad is it? Ooh. Looks like that's about 115. Probably miles per hour. I'm gonna guess that's probably 120 to 130. That's about major. That's pretty much Category 3 or Category 2 strength of our hurricane. But the pressure is so low, though. 937. It's very low pressure. That's what we do not really want to see. And that's extremely low pressure. And I forgot to show you guys some other stuff on here. And it's the ensemble models and even the intensity guidance. At least I caught myself. You can see the main track is slated to be along the East Coast, but it's becoming less and less likely, but you can tell some of these red lines here are about 970 to 960. It's pretty strong, and that's probably a hurricane, definitely right there. If we look at the GFS ensembles, you can see here it does the curve thing right here. You see just off the coast, that is getting close to about 960 millibars. Pretty strong hurricane there. The intensity guidance is probably the most important part right now. The intensity guidance here, we got a cluster of models taking it to hurricane strength, and we got another cluster. Seems like the cluster is starting to get smaller and smaller for tropical storm strength, and we're starting to see more reaching Category 1 and Category 2. There are some that are trying to reach Category 3. I can see a couple of them trying to reach them, but we'll see. We probably could see this as a hurricane. Okay, my forecast, tropical depression, we could see that, safer for tropical storm. The Category 1, I'm giving it a 70. Category 2, 0% still, but I'm giving this thing a chance for Category 1. Now, these are just islands here. It's not really about city. But Dominican Republic, it's got 100% up. Now, I made this a few hours ago, and I tried to make a video, but I didn't have time. I finished just about in the middle of it, so I haven't changed these numbers. So we'll put Dominican Republic as a 90 and put Puerto Rico as 100%. We'll upgrade this to a 95. Bahamas will stay 90. The rest is fine. You can see here's the cities right here that I got. Palm Bay, Florida's got 80. Daytona Beach has got 80. Jacksonville's got 75. Tampa's 50. Cape Coral 45. Savannah, Georgia's 40. Albany, Georgia is 30%. Tallahassee, Florida is at 25%, and Key West, Florida is at a 10. We'll probably see that get downgraded to 0, probably, but things could change here. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this Tropical Storm Dorian update. If y'all did like this, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you never miss an upload. If y'all got any questions about Tropical Storm Dorian, put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next video.